Hello everyone, my name is Adam Gary, and I'm going to share with you some techniques that you can use as you're using generative AI tools. The idea behind all of this, though, is that I want you to think about being curious every time that you are prompting. What does that mean? It means that I'm going to share these techniques, but really in the back of your mind, after you get a response out of these tools, you really should be thinking about, okay, is this what I wanted? What's the next thing that I want? Can it do this? Can it do that? And this should kind of move you past the idea of using Google, which is the least amount of information to get links to things, to using a tool that really helps you organize and gather information. So what I'm going to do is just walk you through some of these techniques, and then I'm going to share the activity with you that we're asking you to do. So for all of these, it's not recommended that you start your first prompt and just try to do all this. It's sort of in the back of your mind thinking, do I need to use these when I'm prompting for this particular reason? So one of the first techniques that I use is this idea of role, or giving it a persona. And what this means is that you can tell it to do to act like something specific, and when it does that, it will narrow down that large language model and give you a much better output. So, for example, in this activity, you might choose to plan a trip somewhere, and so what you would say is act like a travel agent. You might be doing something in the fitness arena. You might say act like a fitness instructor. Or if you're using it personally, you might say act like a fifth grade teacher. Okay, so that'll narrow down that model, and you can give it more than one persona as well. The task is where you really are giving it some specific information and details about what you want. So in the planning of a trip activity, you wouldn't want to say, plan me a trip to Italy for 2 weeks. But what you could say is, we want to go to Italy for 2 weeks. There's 4 of us. We have a budget of this much money. We really enjoy history and fine dining. We don't want to travel more than 200 kilometers in one day, and we only want to use trains. So be very specific in the types of information that you're giving it so that you can get a better output. And then format really is, how do we want this information displayed? So one format could be put this into a table, and then it will really align everything into a table. You could say, write the lyrics to a song for this because my significant other doesn't know that we're going on this trip and I want to generate a song. So there's ways to ensure that the output is a format that you like. You can even use an infographic. That's something else that you need. The last thing is something that I've been using a lot lately and I think will be very helpful, and I encourage all of you to use this in your first prompt, which is you can ask me 3 questions before you start. What that does is it will help clarify for the large language model exactly what you're intending from the output. I use this every day, every time I start a prompt, and it really helped me get a much better output. So I encourage you to use, you can ask me 3 questions before you start. Now, the activity that we're giving you is really based on this idea of how do we utilize something personal to really just start our prompting. These are just some examples for you, but what I want you to do is pick something in your personal life and prompt at least 3 prompts. What does that mean? So you're going to prompt something, you're going to get some information, you're going to read it, and you're going to get curious and say, oh, okay, I left this out, or I wonder about this. And then you're going to do that again, and you're going to do it again, okay? You're going to share your output from this prompting. But I just really want you to have fun with this, be curious, and do something that might help you in your personal life. Lastly, I just wanted to share one of my prompts so you can sort of see what this looks like. So here's one that I did where I was looking for some education research, and I said, act like an expert in education research. I want you to compile the best research and write a report that outlines how AI can support a coherent learning environment. So you see I gave it a persona, right? And then I gave it the output that I wanted to, and now I'm going to really give it some information for that task. A coherent learning environment is an educational setting where structures, practices, and relationships are purposefully purposefully designed and aligned to promote consistent student-centered learning experiences. And you can read on, and then you'll see at the bottom I say you can ask 3 questions before you begin. I'm very specific about 3 questions because if you don't, these things tend to ask you questions on and on and on. And you can see it did ask me 3 questions. And then from there, I responded to the three questions, and then it started to build this research report for me. So this is just one example. Again, I would like you to do something personal, but I wanted to show you, a combination of those 3 techniques. All right, have fun. Thank you.